live fire picanha cooked over British beech and applewood on my Kadai fire bowl. I started a ripping hot fire with beech splits, which I lit at the back of the bowl to create embers to pull forward. As the beech started to ember down, I added some applewood for that beautiful sweet smoke. I added more beech splits, and at this stage my fire was close to ready. So fire's set, super simple setup. We've got a fire right at the back of the bowl here. That's going to give us some smoke just for the early part of the cook. I just want to get some smoke in before we start really cooking this picanha. Then after 20 or 30 minutes, we'll keep this fire at the back running, but we'll start pulling coals underneath the cooking grate and we'll cook the picanha direct, but with some distance really, so it's roasting at a nice temperature from the fire. Right, let's come in and have a look at this meat. No fancy setup today. We're rustic, we're cooking on the floor. I just wanted to show you really with this picanha, it's a lovely bit of meat, but I am just going to butcher it slightly. You see here we've got quite a thin piece. If we were doing this in skewers, we could take that off and create a skewer with it, but as it is, this is clearly going to cook much faster, and by the time this is ready it's going to be overcooked. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take it off. And try and just sort of keep that authentic picanha shape, and I am not a butcher, just keep that pointed tip at the end. There we go, and what we've got there is a more consistent piece of meat that's going to cook more evenly. We want to leave the majority of this fat on. Just got a little loose bit here, so I'm just going to quickly sneak that off. So that's my scrap, that can go to the dog. And then I'm just going to put a few scores in this fat, because I forgot to do that when I dry brined last night. So it's been dry brined, so this is about 1.5 kilos, this picanha. About 2 tablespoons of salt. Big joint like this, I like a lot of salt. You can start with about 1 tablespoon per kilo if you want, but I just tend to use a little bit more. And that's that done. This is ready to get on the fire, so I'm just going to clear up here and then we'll get it on. Cool, so meat's on. You saw me testing with my hand, and your hand with live fire is the best way to test the intensity of the fire. With a hand test, I can pretty quickly identify 3 different styles of cooking. If I can only hold my hand for a second or so, then I'm searing. If I can hold my hand for 3 to 4 seconds, then that's more like roasting. And if I can hold my hand there for 5 or 6 seconds, then that's more like a slow cook. So you can see here I can pretty comfortably hold my hand where the meat's sitting. And what that means is we're not starting to cook too aggressively. We're going to have a bit of time to get some smoke into this before we start bringing up the temperature. Perfect. So that's just going to sit there for about 15 or 20 minutes and take on some smoke. I'm going to go wash up and I'll see you then. Beautiful. So we've been on for about 10 minutes. We are getting some good heat into that fat cap, so we are just starting to see that render down. So I've just flipped the joint around so we get a nice even render on that. And in about 5 minutes, we're going to rake some coals across and drop the meat down. So it's been another 5 minutes. What we want to do at this point is basically start to push this cook along. So we've had 15 minutes getting some smoke into it. That's adding a bit of flavour, starting to render the fat down. But what we want to do now is actually start roasting this picanha. So how are we going to do that? We're going to pull some coals out from the fire, keep that fire running at the back to keep some heat and keep generating some coals. Drop the meat closer, we'll get it into that roasting zone, and that's going to start bringing the temperature up. So what I've done is pull some embers from the back where the fire is right to the front of the cooking grate, so that as we drop the meat down, the intensity of the fire at the back isn't going to give us a problem. So change of plan, we've got plenty of heat here, so we're not going to drop the meat down. Whether it's the sides of the bowl bouncing the heat into the middle, or we've just got a really nice strong ember bed, there's plenty of heat. You know, I can hold my hand there for 3 seconds, but only just. And if we drop any lower at this point, we're going to risk a couple of things. We're probably going to risk a fat fire and burning that fat on the other side, when really what we want to do is to render that down and make it nice and soft and gelatinous. And the other risk, of course, with a cook like this is that we're actually going to overcook the meat. So we're going to aim for like a rare to medium rare on this. We like our beef pretty rare, and if we go any closer to the fire, chances are we're just going to start ramping up that temperature too fast and we'll overcook it. This is smelling absolutely amazing, and we're just going to keep a really nice close watch on this now. I'm really happy with how this is going. We're just getting to a point now where we've got some bleeding through on the top of the joint, which is really what we're looking for. That shows that the joint is starting to warm through, and we're getting pretty close to the point where we're going to flip it over. Look at that beautiful fat. And I think, to be honest, it is actually ready for a flip. Right, yeah, we're going to flip this over and we're going to finish the cook, fat side up, flesh side down. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. So we're actually getting pretty close. We're going to try and take this to about 45 degrees C internal, right in the middle of the joint. That'll rest up to about 50. It should be like a gorgeous rare to medium rare. But on this bottom side now, on the meat side, it's going to take significantly less time facing down. So we're just going to ramp the heat up a little bit, see if we can get this cooked through in the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, so temperature's perfect, no need for any more wood at this point, so that's been a pretty fuel efficient cook. We're just going to sit that there until it hits temperature, we'll rest it, we'll cook some veggies while it rests, and then we'll eat. So that's probing early 40s, so we're pretty much there. I'm just going to drop this down now, give it a final sear on the meat side, then we'll rest it, cook our veggies. Don't drop the meat. Right, that's just going to get a nice aggressive final sear. It's barely going to touch the internal temperature, then we'll pull it off. Lovely. Right, let's pull that off. That's going to sit and rest. Let's get our broccoli on. By the time that's cooked, we can slice the picanha. So this broccoli wants nice high heat, so I've just invigorated those coals a little bit. That's going to drop the ash out to the bottom and just give us a bit more heat to finish this cook off. The tender stem's just been rubbed in a tiny bit of rapeseed oil. It can take good heat. If we need to, we can lift the grate up, but we'll just keep an eye on it and it should cook through direct. It's just such a nice way to cook tender stem. Oh, no one's getting left behind today, boys. Oh, we have left someone behind. Get out of there. Got a really great way of testing whether tender stem's cooked. Wouldn't do this if cooking for a party, but when it's just me and the wife. It's pretty close. Right, the good news is that means we can carve. So, picanha, it's got a very obvious grain. You see here, you can see the grain running across it. So we want to slice across that grain. That's going to give us the most tender end result. Where is it? There we go. Right, let's get that grain right. And you want to slice picanha really thin, but on this basis, I'm going to give you a cut through shot and then we'll slice it from there. Nice. So we've got a nice rare finish. You can see here the grey patches. That does mean we were running a bit too hot, so we've overcooked the exterior before we brought the centre up to temperature. But it's still going to be beautiful eating, so let's get it sliced. And you see all the liquid on the board. That's basically saying we could have given it a longer rest, but we're hungry, we're having this for dinner, so yeah, not too worried. Check on this broccoli. We don't want that to burn. Yeah, that's perfect. Right, try and pull that off the heat a little bit. Finish slicing. Oh, look at that bit of fat. Stunning wood smoke flavour. Beautiful soft fat. It's so caramelised. So here's the not very fun side of filming in your back garden for your small business. That camera that I'm looking into now ran out of memory midway through that last shot, so not ideal. So we're going to have to rely on that camera over there to take us through the back end from here on in. But the whole thing's been a bit of a flap, so bear with me through this next phase. Enjoy the rest of the video. So I talk about this all the time. We've dry brined, so we salted last night. No salt before the cook, no pepper. So this is your chance to sort of test that. See whether you've got that right, whether you need any more salt. You might finish with some sea salt at this point. You're definitely going to go in with some black pepper. But at this point, we can just basically test for salt. So this is the benefit of cutting across the grain. You know, we're just going to get that beautiful pull apart beef. You know, no biting it. Oh, sorry. Forgot I was filming for a second there. But as I say, what we're testing for is enough salt. Big joint like this, we're salting the outside of the beef and there's no salt in the middle, so you want to make sure you've used enough so the salt flavour carries through. And as I say, you might just want to season a bit more, but I did go slightly over on the dry brine and that is absolutely perfectly salted. No one needs to know I just demolished a whole slice. Just try and improve this presentation a little bit. Gorgeous. Oh, gorgeous. So there we go. Just a very quick shout out to iDevour on the meat. They're the only online butcher I use at the moment. Always the best quality, ethical, sustainable, you know, lovely small business. So iDevour for quality beef online. Overall, very happy with that cook. Of course, could have cooked it slightly more gently, but you know, we've got a lovely rare finish on the inside. It's still super moist. So although we got a bit of that greying, yeah, really happy with that. That's picanha over open fire. It's time for me to eat. Please give us a like and a subscribe. Thank you very much. See you soon. Ooh.